after take a folder after team meeting. Sue Jones, I'll internally call her that, casually opens up her folder and pulls out the workflow, which is a flow chart with yellow, green, orange, and red. And she reads the top of it and she goes, perinatal mental health screening, PMS screening. Well, someone could have named it something better. And I was like, and I typed it. And I was like, I didn't write that. And then I went over there and yep, sure enough, I put PMS instead of PMH. So I did update it. So some of you guys have a PMS workflow and some of you have a PMH workflow. It's the same thing. But to Dana's point, yes, it's been a day. It's been a year, you guys. It's been a year. Um, but I'm going to pass the torch to Kelsey, and she is going to take it from here.
Okay. Thank you, Monica. And I will say I am a lucky person who got a PMS one. I'm gonna hold on to this one forever. Special edition. Um, but okay. Thank you all for being here. I'm gonna start just answering why we are here. So we were all part of the statewide initiative that has we've learned about the perinatal mental health screenings. This is something we've kind of been doing here in Johnson County for a while. But now, moving forward, this is something we're all going to do together. So this is why the screenings were offered for everybody, or the screening training. We know that approximately 25% of moms who have babies birth to 12-month-old do experience some sort of postpartum depression. And so we are offering this screening so that we can help those moms who need help. We know if moms aren't their best, they're not going to be able to support their child the best way possible. And we want to make sure mom is feeling supported so that she'll be able to help her baby and or family, all the above, the best that she can as well. Why am I talking to you? I'm sure some of you are wondering this, and I am talking to you right now for two reasons. One, most of my caseload is babies under the age of 12 months old. So I have had the opportunity to trial different methods, different things that we as a team, Monica, Leslie, Hannah Soul, and I have been working on. I've been the one doing it with the families and giving feedback up thus far. Also, before I was an early intervention nurse, my nurse experience was a psych nurse. So I lived in the world of offering a lot of depression screenings and helping moms with severe postpartum depression. But this was a something that I am, I care about this world of in regards to mental health in particular. So that is why I am here and going to share with you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, but if you have one of the green folders that Monica was referring to, now would be a great time to pull that out. I am going to put it on for everyone to see in case you don't have it. What we are going to look at first is this, the PMH, perinatal mental health screening. We have intentionally gone away from MDS, maternal depression screening. We are now choosing words perinatal mental health. Mental health is more encompassing than a depression screening, and also this screening tool can be used for dads as well. So by not calling it maternal, it opens up that opportunity. But for right now, we are focusing on moms. So I am going to start at begin, the blue arrow, and we're going to talk about that blue box. Our goal is that every mom who has a baby under 12 months old will be offered the screening within the first 3 visits. That says introduce screening. So we at least are talking about the screening. I will say so far in my experience, about 20 to 30% of the moms that I offer the screening to actually want to do it. The majority of the moms are feeling supported because they either have a really good network of family and friends that they feel comfortable talking to, or they already have a therapist slash support group that they're attending. But it is important to at least offer it to the mom, one, so that we can document we did this. Two, it really does open the door for later on for the mom to know that this is something that we can do and we feel comfortable doing with them because we are in a much more intimate setting going into their homes than if they're in a clinic environment. They're most likely going to feel more comfortable opening up to us as home visitors. So if we don't ever talk about the screening, mom is not going to know that this is an option of something we can do with them. So just kind of thinking of it that way as to, well, why would I even talk about this? That helps motivate me to start that conversation. So our goal is to introduce it in those first three visits. I like to try and offer the screening. Not only have I introduced it, but I've offered it by that first home visit. I think it's important to get this done early on for two reasons. One, we already talked, if mom's not feeling supported, she's not going to be the best she can be as we're doing therapy with the child. And two, we get really busy working towards our IFSP goals. And once it's put on the back burner, it's really easy to not go back to it. So I think if you could get in the habit of really making an effort of talking about it in those first three, you'll be more likely to get it done. Number two is a big change. We are now using paper copies. So the screening tool, which I actually could just change that on here, I think. Let me stop sharing that for a second and then move. I'm going to pull up the screener. No, yes. No, I'm not. Sorry. We'll go back to that. Okay, so the screener, if you have your green folder, is in English and Spanish, and it's exactly the same. So if you're working with a Spanish speaking family, or if you're working with a family who would prefer to fill the form out in Spanish, you can give them the Spanish version, which is in your green folder, and it will be the exact same thing as what you were reading in English. So I love that our folders are matching Spanish, English, so that you know what you are giving the family. Another really big change is you will see that there is now the numbers of how much they are going to score right there on the screener. So you will not have to pull up a secret document on your computer to know what the answer or to score the screener. It is all right there. We are leaving this with the family as well. So the family will keep this copy. Um, on step three, it does say collect and score, which you do need to take it. You need to score it, and then you give it back to mom for her to keep. You also need to have a documented form of this in the child's file, which those are now going to be in the file, in their initial caseload file. There's going to be an Edinburgh form there that you can either two options. One, I like to have a sheet of paper and write down their score, 1 through 10, on my sheet of paper so that I can then recreate the document outside of the home when I leave that visit. Also, that just helps me double check my math. If when I write it down, it's easier for me to add it up. You also have the option, if you're comfortable, of taking a photo of the screener so that you can later then fill it out so that you'll have one saved in the child's file. I think now is going to be a good time for me to share the little video. So I asked Hannah to pretend that she had a baby and that I was going to do a maternal, or just, oop, I called it the wrong thing, a perinatal mental health screening. Not too hard for her to pretend since she does. And this is what it looks like. This was not scripted. This was just me saying, Hannah, can you please come over to my house and let me screen you? Are you seeing a black screen right now? Are we? I think maybe everything's working. Okay, here we go. service that we offer, and that would be a perinatal mental health screening. Have you ever heard of that, or do you have any idea what I'm talking about? I my pediatrician has asked how I'm doing, but I've never filled anything out. My OB also asked how I was doing at our 6-week follow-up, but I haven't ever done a formal screening. Yeah, okay, and we hear that a lot. We know there's several places in the community that do offer this, but sometimes moms just haven't completed it there, or they don't quite realize what it is. So this would be 10 questions that I would have you answer. And the reason that we do this is, one, we want you to know that we care about you and want to make sure that you're feeling supported. And we know that moms with new babies like Lily, one, your hormones are going up and down. And that is true for every mom in this birth to 12-month period. So that's who we offer this for. Some other factors are you're not sleeping like you used to sleep, and that's another thing that really can affect the way just everything in our life feels. So would you be interested in filling out these questions right now, or we could bring this another time when I come back next week as well? Yeah, I'll look at it. Okay, great. So I'm just gonna have you answer these, which I'll just follow this. There are 10 questions, and you can just answer that for how you've been feeling over the past week. Okay. Are you finished? Okay, I'm going to score that now. So I'll give Lily back to you. She was just getting a little fussy. So it looks like today, Hannah, your score is a 14, which we know for this, anything that's 10 or above, there's just a higher chance that you could be experiencing some postpartum depression. We know that 25% of people who have babies and are in this birth to 12-month stage, this is something that does affect them. Do you feel like you have resources in your life already that you're feeling supported? Yeah, I wondered, just because I've been struggling with sleeping and just feeling really emotional, I kind of wondered, I think I can call my doctor and maybe share about that now that we kind of have that official score. And I have had a therapist in the past, so it might be a good time to try to reach out to her. Okay, those are wonderful resources. I'm so glad you already have that. On the back of this sheet, which I'm going to leave this here with you today, this lists some other local resources that you may want to reach out to. They also have websites with great information. And then down at the bottom, Maternal Mental Health and Postpartum Support International, those are national resources that you also can tap into all the information that they have there. One other thing I want to mention is we have a program within our infant toddler services that you would be eligible for. And it would just be a deeper dive into ways to help you through this perinatal period. It would be with our social worker. Is this something you would like more information on? Yeah, I think so. It might be nice to just not have to make a lot of phone calls and okay, I just try to get some support. I am going to send you that information in an email later today on how next steps for getting you plugged in with that program. Okay. Well, thank you for doing this with me. This is something we know can change. So if it's okay with you, I'll check back at future visits and just see how you're feeling and make sure you're getting the support that you need. Thanks. Okay. Okay. All right. So that is typically how I offer the screening. As I said, there are multiple ways, which I did elapse some more time took place while Hannah was recording her answers and then while I was calculating that I took out of the video. So I do think sometimes one of the holdup is the awkwardness of just scoring it in the moment. But for me, this feels better with paper. Also, I do ask permission at times. Can I hold the baby? Or gives me something to do and then give the mom a task like, okay, I need a few minutes to score this, and then we'll go over the results right now. All of this has felt a lot better for me since trying it with paper. So hopefully that will feel the same for you guys. And then I didn't give a specific, I'm going to rescreen you at this date, but you'll see in each box, it does say plan date to rescreen. So if talking with mom about a definite time of, hey, we are going to revisit this, I would say 3 months. So in 3 months, we're going to revisit this. And then 3 months from then, in 3 months, we're going to revisit this, making sure you're still feeling supported. Um, Before I move on, are there any questions on how I presented the Edinburgh screening, or does anyone about that video in particular, like questions on what that would look like, what that did look like? If not, we are going to move to green box. Okay, green box we
I'll
go.
see there's a question in the chat about the
Oh,
video
sorry.
being in the resource folder.
Hmm. I don't know how to see the chat when I'm sharing my screen, but does someone want to answer that?
Yeah,
Check.
if you actually Google the letters tmz.com, you'll be able to find the video, which will be, no, okay. Um, Dana liked that one, you guys. Jenny Crisco liked that too. We're going to put the video on our YouTube channel. It's easier to have all the videos in one location. I see that, Casey. This is why I'm not leading this, you guys. All I do is make jokes and get us off topic. Yes, it will be on our YouTube channel.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, so there is no limit to the number of screenings we can complete. Medicaid does reimburse us if the baby is less than 12 months old. Monica's going to go into documentation a little bit later during this meeting, but also I just want to mention that if I had a family that I'm helping and child is 14 months old and I am concerned, it is still appropriate to use this screening. We just don't get reimbursed from Medicaid if the child is above 12 months old, but I do think it still can be applicable, especially if you start working with the family at that point and you would like an a way to start the mental health conversation. Okay, so had Hannah scored 9 or less, she would be under that low risk category. I would have shared the resources with her, which are on the back of the screener. So that is there. You're going to leave that with them. The top choice, Advent Health. This is an amazing resource that we have in our community. And Trisha is very responsive to email, to phone call, and they really do not just send people to Advent Health. They look at what insurance the family has and they help match them with their need. I'm really glad we have that here. She does also have like support groups that families can join. So she is a really great resource, especially for families with insurance. The next one, Olathe Health Partnership Clinic, they are a sliding scale. So if you knew that a family maybe mom did not have medical coverage, this may be a more better fit for her. But we're going to leave both of these with the families as well. Also, the Postpartum Support International has a really good website with a database search engine that you can help find support groups and providers in your area from PSI. So we will leave that resource, those two things. Also, these are actual links that you can click on. You see it's a live link there. So if you ever have this up and just would like to share that with a family right there in a visit, you have that option. All right.
Kelsey, I might take a quick break. We had a couple questions.
Hey.
Jenny Crisco had asked if we feel like having the scores next to each answer impacts the parents' answers. And I'll let Kelsey kind of talk through everything we've done and why we got to where we are with that.
Yeah. Um, this This last version is the first time we've ever had the answers next to it, but there is no research saying that best practice is one way or the other. Like the data shows that parents they know which one is the right answer, the better answer, and which one is showing, oh, I'm struggling in this area. And we found that it really did not change the way they were going to answer. If a mom is going to answer truthfully, I think she's going to answer truthfully whether she sees it's going to be more or less. Also, each question it changes a little bit, so the zeros isn't like you'll see zeros at the top and then question three zeros at the bottom, but zero is obviously always the answer. That means you're not struggling in that area. It's also much easier to score it in the moment when the answer is right there for you because you might feel a little bit of adrenaline when you're giving this the first few times because it can be something outside our comfort zone that we have to get used to. I think having the answers right there really helped me in scoring it in the moment. And it's just like we're very transparent. Here's what the score is, and mom sees it later. If she's ever looking at this, she has the answers there too. So that was our reasoning for switching to that. Does that help, Jenny? Okay.
Hey, Kelsey.
Yeah.
When if we were to bring this up during like the initial evaluation, where do you find it's the easiest
Mm-hmm.
or most natural?
So I would say, like, at the evaluation, as long as you know you're going to offer services to the child, um, when you're talking about next steps is when I think it makes the most sense. So the sheet that has initial contact, and then here we are at the evaluation. The next step is we will write the IFSP goal. I also wanted to mention that we offer moms with babies under 12 months old a whatever you want to call it, postpartum depression screening. I do usually use the word postpartum with mom because if I say perinatal mental health, sometimes they're like, what are you talking about? But postpartum depression, most moms in the moment know that. And then you get a read for like, oh, I already have done this 12 times at my OB and pediatrician because they offer it. Because there are some clinics within our community who are really doing a good job of offering this to moms. There's also moms who have never been offered this, who delivered in a hospital, who have a pediatrician and an OB/GYN. And there are people falling through the cracks, and those are the ones that I really want to make sure that we're, letting them know we have this. So I think that is when it works best for me, Casey, is when I'm going through those steps.
Um, there was another question that Nadine posted. Is there an age limit if the child is too old? And just so you know, Kelsey, I responded, there's not an age limit. We get reimbursed from Medicaid if a child is 12 months or younger, but we can use this with a parent that has an infant or toddler. And I don't know if you want to talk about scenarios like that, foster children, if a parent has adopted a child who's older, kind of if you want to touch on that at all.
Sure. Um, which I think I mentioned like in one family I was thinking of specifically, the child was older when I started working with them. So I knew we weren't going to get reimbursed. But I felt it was a good way for me to start the mental health conversation with the mom. So I think anytime you're wondering, it would be like, should I screen this parent? Yes. I think the answer is yes. Um, which you can, I mean, obviously they'll see right there that it's a postnatal depressions screening, but it still is applicable. The other thing that I want to say is we serve families who their children are not developing the way a typical child should. That in itself is stressful. Stress will it can potentially add to anxiety, to depression, to whatever mom is feeling. So just know that even if it is a toddler, like Monica was mentioning, it still very much can apply. And maybe it might not be postnatal at that point, but this still will help identify, okay, you have a need. Is there a support group I could help get you with? Or is there just how best can I support you? Start that conversation. So, okay. Hannah Soul was taking over next. Is she here
Hey guys,
and
I'm
ready?
here.
Okay, I'm passing it over to you, Hannah.
Guys, I've had the most Monday of all Mondays, so I apologize. Got a really sick dog, a baby that I had to take to the pediatrician unexpectedly, and I hit a squirrel first thing this morning. So it's been a day, you guys. So I apologize. I would have like run through this by myself before, but here I am. I made it. Um, Kelsey, do you want to reshare the workflow so we can kind of talk about what happens next? I did hear you guys watched our video. I am considering another career in acting. So it's my big debut. By the way, though, I do know there's some people on here that I haven't officially met. I'm Hannah Soul. I'm a social worker. Been here since 2019. So yeah, just hello for if you haven't met me. Okay, so I'll kind of take over talking about what happens when we get a positive screen. So Kelsey did a really nice job kind of laying that groundwork of kind of what we're doing, all that like general and those kind of first resources that we would offer to anybody. So a score of 10 or greater is a positive score. The maximum score is a 30. That would be pretty dang concerning. I think we'll probably see moms in the like teen range, mostly like 10 to 20-ish. Above 20, I feel like it's a little more less common, I would say, that we've gotten. Kelsey, it looks like you would agree with that. But yes, it can go up to 30. So when we look at the workflow, it's this yellow box that is titled medium risk. And so kind of just as a reminder, that is a medium risk that they have postpartum depression, not necessarily like medium risk of safety or anything like that, but just it is a medium risk that if they were to be evaluated by a mental health professional, they would probably fit that diagnosis of postpartum depression. So really our next step is just a discussion of what mom wants to do next. So we have that like discuss a possible referral with OBGYN or PCP. That is definitely an option. I think a lot of the moms in our area, like Kelsey said, we have a lot of really nice resources in our area. So many of them already have some contact, most of them have a provider of some type that they might be open to discussing this with. So that's kind of ideal, but if mom wants us to help facilitate that communication, we can do that. I like to kind of just start with like, Kelsey asked in that video of like, what, do you have any resources that could support you? What are you thinking hearing that? Like, just kind of put it back to mom of like, where are you at with this? Have you dealt with this in the past? And then seeing if mom is interested in kind of linking up with some next level of support. So when we have this positive score, I do like to add in Postpartum Support International as a support option. They, like Kelsey said, they have, actually, she talked about Advent. Postpartum Support International has a provider database as well that you can search by insurance. Then they also have like their support groups. I mean, they have like a dad support group. They have a mental health support for special needs and medically fragile parenting support, and that's up to age 4, like kids for parents of children ages birth to 4. NICU parents, they have so many amazing support groups. They're virtual, they're free. It's an awesome resource. They have a helpline. It's kind of another just like catch-all. They have education, lots of things. So I like to share that. This next step here you'll see is discussing moving beyond depression. So you guys will learn a little bit more about that on Friday. And that is a cognitive behavioral therapy model that Missy and I are being trained in right now. And it's an in-home therapy support for moms experiencing postpartum depression. So while it's on our workflow, because we definitely, that you guys are going to be kind of our referral source, we are still kind of learning. So I would say maybe don't offer it right away, but if you guys have a mom that's scoring positive that you think wants some support and might have some barriers to getting support, like letting us know that, because that might be our first mom, because we are looking to get started. But I don't want to say anyone and everyone can have it, because we're still kind of in that learning phase. So, and we'll kind of keep you guys updated as we have openings to take on moms, but we'll be looking for someone to get started, honestly, as of Friday. So yeah, kind of make a mental note, but maybe don't offer it to mom right in the moment until we really know what our process is like. But yeah, I think that will be a great resource. And then that same kind of step, like we want to check in. The next step is to check in at each visit. So keeping this as just part of the conversation. How's mom doing? You know, kind of if you can work it in as your part of your joint plan. If mom's wanting that support, like that you guys kind of touch base at your next visit of like, how's that going? Where are you at with that? Do you need help making calls, or do you need some, ideas? And just kind of keeping it part of our conversation. The more we normalize it and talk about it, the easier it's going to be for you guys, and the more comfortable it'll get, and more comfortable for, moms and parents to share what's going on. The next part, the plan a rescreen date. So we do want to be rescreening moms. Programmatically, we definitely want to offer initially, and then for sure that 6-month or annual if they are still, under that 1-year age, for rescreening. And then, but honestly, even more often if they screen positive and you guys are talking about it, every 3 months or so is kind of standard practice. One thing I found really interesting and kind of insightful at the Moving Beyond Depression training is a mom that went through the treatment program. She said that when her home visitor first brought it up, she was nervous and she was kind of overthinking her answers, and just kind of, overthinking it, and maybe not super truthful about where she was at, because she was just nervous and uncomfortable. And she said at the rescreen, she had a good relationship with her home visitor. She felt like, she trusted them more. And she said on the rescreen, she was more honest, didn't overthink it as much, and then did score, pretty positive. So just knowing that could be a possibility, and just kind of a reason why it's good to rescreen, because we might even catch more moms that maybe were apprehensive at first. Any questions about that kind of medium area addition?
Hannah, I might jump in real quick too, because some of you might notice that on the scoring, your medium risk says 10 to 12 and your high risk says 12 plus. And some of you might have this particular sheet where high risk says 13 plus. And I just wanted to let you know that I was thinking 12 plus meant more than 12, greater than 12, and Hannah thought it should be 13 plus. So same thing, just we did it differently.
And to add on, the Moving Beyond Depression score is an 11 plus is their cutoff. And like when you guys were, I think Nadine was asking about like screening a mom that doesn't have a little one, like an under 1-year-old. In Moving Beyond Depression, we will be confirming the diagnosis of major depressive disorder if they were to do the Moving Beyond Depression program. And so in that, in the training, they said that like if you score an 11, you will meet criteria for major depressive disorder. And so that isn't, postpartum specific. That is just depression. So if a mom is scoring positive, even without a little baby, they likely would meet the diagnosis of major depression. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next one unless somebody wants to stop me. Okay, so this next box, orange, is high risk. Again, this is high risk for meeting the criteria for depression. So this is kind of just where it gets to be like these moms are going to need more support if they're interested in connecting they're just going to need a little bit more help to get that support going, because they are just going to be more depressed. And so that's when I just like to, again, add in a few more little barriers, a few more resources. So kind of those initial steps we've already talked about. And then this next step of like action/safety plan. We want to be able to start kind of asking questions like, asking about their support network, what resources they have. And that's when you're going to have to kind of go feel it out with your gut of like, hey, this mom seems, pretty isolated, or she's so flat that it's hard to even get this conversation going. And so it's going to be kind of dependent on where that mom is at and what you're feeling in the moment. And so we do have this maternal mental health hotline listed as an additional resource for this category. And the maternal mental health hotline is a national hotline that is staffed by therapists. So mental health therapists that answer this phone line 24 hours a day. And they are there to like be a person to listen if a mom is really overwhelmed, or kind of doesn't know what to do, or if something that you guys could call together if you're kind of feeling like, hey, I don't know, I don't love leaving this visit, this mom's clearly really struggling. That's a great resource that you guys get called together. They would help kind of assess where mom is at and help her connect to some additional resources. So it's really just like a buffer, another support for you guys. With these kind of 13 plus, this is, in every level, we are here to help. Myself, Missy, Kelsey, any mom that is sharing about her mental health, or you're concerned about their mental health, like we are here to help you guys make a plan and get through those next steps. I know it's hard when you don't know the systems and can feel kind of uncomfortable, but just know that like you guys can notify us of these moms that are scoring higher, and we are here to kind of help check off the boxes, make sure you guys have done all the things, feel good about the plan, that mom feels as supported as possible. So just know that that's what we're kind of here for. And those higher level ones are just going to need a little bit more help. So nothing majorly new in that category, but we're just moving towards the right. Any questions about that? Okay, so the last one, the most fun, is crisis situations. So if you guys look at your Edinburgh screening tool, anytime you're giving it to a mom, when you score it, you always need to stop and take a look at question 10, and look at where that score is at. So question 10 is the thought of harming myself has occurred to me, and the answers are quite often, sometimes, hardly ever, and never. So anytime a mom would mark something other than never, there's another step that needs to be taken and a bigger conversation to be had. So really what I would say is with that, if that question is, looks like, okay. If you see that question is anything other than never when you're working with a mom, this would probably be the first thing I would address before resources or anything else. And then really what I would do is kind of read that question back and just say, hey, I noticed that you marked sometimes on this question, and read the question. This is not going to be your guys' everyday experience. This is going to be a rare occurrence, few and far between, but we just want to make sure people know what to do if and when it happens. And even if it's crisis situation, rarely is it an emergency, but it is just, we just have to feel out the situation and take some additional steps. So I would read the question, read their answer, and ask them an open-ended question to tell you a little bit more about why they answered the way that they did. Depending on the answer, it's important that we kind of ask those really direct questions to moms of, do you have a plan to hurt yourself or kill yourself? If that answer is yes, we ask, what is that plan? Tell us a little bit about that. When I have ever been in a situation like this, which again, even my role, who I'm, as a mental health professional, few and far between, I really like to kind of like take notes in this moment, like connecting with mom, but also just like be jotting down some of the words that she's using. And that helps me slow down and like kind of assess what is she saying, what is actually being said, and gives me a moment to kind of reflect, and just sharing with mom, like, I just want to make sure I am, getting all the information and can leave here today knowing that you're safe. So slow it down. You don't need to kind of have this like sudden knee-jerk response to this question. It's really honestly kind of encouraging mom to share with you guys more about what she might be thinking or feeling. My kind of number one with this, regardless of how mom answers like the follow-up questions, would be just if mom has somebody, making someone else aware of these thoughts or feelings. So that can be a support person, a family member, friend, spouse. It could be a professional in their life, like doctor, past therapist, caseworker, whatever. Like it could truly be whoever they want. But my goal really would be to not leave that house until someone else knows that information, just so you're not the one holding it. If you have that conversation, if mom is going down this road of a more active situation, it is an emergency, and mom is saying, yes, I have a plan. Yes, I have means. No, I can't keep myself safe. That is an emergency where you would call 911 or 988. I've never had to do that. I don't foresee that being, again, something you guys we're going to be doing often, but we just want you to have the tools in case anything were to happen. Typically what I have found and was going to be more common is going to be kind of these passive suicidal thoughts. There's lots of people that walk around every day of their life with suicidal thoughts that are not active. I feel like with depressed moms, it's often like this, like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to wake up, or I just think someone else could be a better mom to my kids, and not like I have a plan to hurt and kill myself. And a lot of times I feel like what I've heard is like, but I know my kids need me. And that is a nice safety, a barrier, a protection, that can kind of illustrate to us that like mom is really struggling, but she's not planning to go anywhere. And so really just like we want to know that question of, can you keep yourself safe and your child safe? Who could you tell? And then what is our immediate plan for follow-up? So like, what is our like professional level of support that we can get going? So that would be great to connect with a doctor. That contacted Advent Health. Trisha is fast. I have called her for moms lots of times in not crisis at all, like just for a recommendation for therapy, and she has called me back same or next day. So truthfully, if it is like a more serious situation, that is an awesome call, and just letting her know, hey, this is kind of urgent. And you would probably get a response pretty dang quickly for her. And then, knowing that like if you walk out of a visit like that where there has been anything other than never on that question 10, please let us know, myself, Missy, Kelsey. If you need like in the moment panic, like just reach out to any and all of us, and throw Monica and Leslie in that list too, just because, who knows who's working that day. But just know we're all around. Like you can throw out that Hail Mary and know that somebody will answer. And that's a great, just like we talked about in that last box, that maternal mental health hotline is a wonderful resource that could have all of these conversations, like the assessing of safety, the discussing of the plan. They're an awesome resource. 988 is another, sorry, I'm going to plug in, another great option. They're not going to like dispatch emergency services, unless they have assessed the situation and it is an emergency. So they really are going to also kind of assess safety, talk. It is people from Johnson County Mental Health that staff that line. So that's a great resource too in a situation where you're like, ooh, this is intense and I am not quite sure where to go with it. There are lots of a couple in the moment options for you guys. And then, yeah, I feel like that's it. Like really my three biggest goals in those situations is someone else finds out, get a verbal kind of contract of safety, just asking, can they keep themselves safe and for their child? and then those professional next steps. There is a safety plan form in English and Spanish in your folder. It says safety plans work. There is hope at the top. This is the safety plan that 988 uses. And that's something that, like, again, in this moment, if you need to like slow down and be like, what do I do next? Pull this out. And this is a great way to kind of start that conversation. Talks about warning signs of a crisis, coping strategies that mom might have, people and places to provide distractions, and then some of the professional agencies you can contact, and how to write out a plan to make your environment safer. So again, if you just take a moment, no, you don't need to solve the problem. You just have to slow down and get more information.
Hannah, Brooke had posted a question in the chat that says the workflow. Kelsey, if you wouldn't mind clicking on that PDF, says that if there is active thoughts of harming self or others, but when you look at the screener, the question is thoughts of harming myself have occurred. And so Brooke is wondering, like, what if the parent has thoughts of harming other people, not themselves? What does that look like?
So, I would say homicidal ideation is not my area of specialty at all, and something that would be pretty rare. And really, I feel like concerns and thoughts of harming their baby would be honestly something that it's a lot to talk about, but like a mom that is in the postpartum period that is having thoughts of harming her baby, if the mom is distressed by those thoughts are upsetting and stressful to her, that shows that it is like, this is a postpartum mental health crisis situation, and it's good that she's distressed by the thoughts. That makes it like, that is a safety, barrier for safety, is that mom is distressed by thoughts of harming her baby. If it's thoughts of harming other people, I mean, I would same thing, want to know, like, what's thoughts? What's your plan? And, if there is some sort of active plan of hurting someone else, I think that could definitely be a 911 call. I don't know, Monica, if you would have an extra other thought on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm going to be honest, I don't. We have yet to have that conversation. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But I think in not this recent one, the one before it, with the state training through KDHE, they talked about that is if they're able to talk about it and recognize, then that doesn't mean that that is you know, it's not a hallucination, so to speak. And I would say it's always okay to say, would you be okay if I called in our nurse or our social worker? I want to make sure, we're doing everything we can to help you. So at the very least, again, phone a friend. And again, it buys you some time. But I mean, never say never, right? We can't say it's never going to happen. But if that person is comfortable saying it out loud, I think that speaks a lot for the trust that they probably have in you, and potentially the gratitude they have someone has just asked.
Yeah. So Advent Health also has a mental health specific emergency room for like mental health crises. That is definitely something I would encourage, if you're ever in that severe of a situation of has a plan to hurt someone else. That's definitely something I would encourage, of like, there is a walk-in ER that could help process through what you were thinking, feeling. Again, we just don't want you guys sitting, we don't want you guys in there alone. That's really the goal, is phone a friend, professional agency. Don't feel like you are determining that level of safety on your own, should that ever happen.
I think too, Hannah, I'm just going to chime in quickly. I think this would also be an appropriate time to call 988. And if they thought differently, they would tell you. And I love that the 988 is local here in our community, and it is a mental health hotline. So they do more than just postpartum, like, and more than just suicidal thoughts. So I think that would be a really great resource. That's what I would probably do in the moment if someone told me they were gonna harm someone else, is I'm calling 988, phoning a friend, a very professional friend who
Uh-huh.
can give me very direct, here's what to do.
Yes.
The piece that I just want to talk a little bit about too, and again, this was mentioned in the KDHE trainings, but just because a parent says that they are having thoughts of harming themselves or others, we are not going to make a hotline report to DCF. That's not what this is about. Please do not do that. We only are required and should make a hotline when we believe a child is being neglected or abused. This particular process, even this question regarding self-harm or harming others, again, we should be reaching out to our mental health resources and getting help. Again, not hotlining a family. So anytime you feel like you should hotline a family for any reason that has to do with abuse and neglect, I would always ask that you reach out to Hannah, Missy, Leslie, or myself. It is extremely helpful if we know that those are happening for various reasons as well. Jenny, oh, sorry. There's one more question in the chat too when we get done with this.
So Jenny, that would be ideal, would be to encourage parent, like, hey, let's give this number a call and you could share about what's going on. If parent is resistant to that, then saying, like, I just want a little bit of help to kind of make sure you're safe. I want to leave this visit knowing that you're safe today, and I'm going to call 988 to kind of help me process through that. So it's always great to have parent do it if they're able and comfortable and willing. But if it's a situation where they're not and you need that help, then if they would allow you to do it, that's great too. Again, I hate to end like the flow on this one because it is not going to be your everyday experience. It feels really scary, but it is just something, you guys need to know what to do if and when it ever happened. And again, it is just typically not a true emergency situation. It is, a really depressed mom having thoughts of harming herself is not like out of the question, but it does not mean that like we are in a 911 territory. We just gotta keep talking. Susie said years ago, I had a mom share that she was afraid someone would take her child away because she was a cutter. I think parents are really hesitant to share any sort of thinking about harming their child. That's why I do really love this, like the maternal mental health hotline, because like these are people that are so trained and can really understand the nuance of concerns about like what thoughts of harming your child and really tease out like what is postpartum depression, what is psychosis, what is intrusive thoughts because of anxiety. Like there's lots of reasons parents would have these kind of thoughts. And they're really hesitant to share because that can be scary. I will say that parenting when you have a mental illness is not a reason for a child to be removed from a home. There's lots of parents with significant mental illnesses that parent, and DCF is not removing those kids. So it's not illegal to have a mental illness and be a parent.
Stacy has a great question about cutoff scores. And so that is going to take us into kind of our last section. Kelsey, would you mind popping that workflow up one more time? And then we're going to be on the very bottom boxes. My part isn't going to take quite as long. It's a little bit more black and white because it's really about procedure, documentation, and billing. And so, Stacy, hopefully I answer this question within this upcoming part. But in the far left box, you're going to see the resources and handouts. Again, you've got the workflow. You've got on the back, of your workflow, you have a billing cheat sheet. If your workflow says PMS, if your workflow says PMH, I forgot to make that on the back side. So we'll get there in a second. You should have the safety plan, which is the action plan. And then also, if you go into SharePoint, Kelsey, I'll have you stop sharing, and I'm going to show everybody where all the folders are. There's been a lot of reorganization of files lately. I've been joking, I've been on Adderall, and my organization skills are just, you guys are, they're to die for right now. But if you go here to screenings, you're going to see the perinatal mental health folder. And if you open that up, don't open up archived, those are old resources, but you can open this one up here, and then you're going to have your English and your Spanish. Again, these are all the same documents that you guys have printed out, just you would be able to access them if you needed to while you're here. The anxiety and pregnancy is the hot pink sheets that are in your folder just for some general education and resources in case you wanted to read them through yourself or share them with the family. Jenny, I was thinking about that question you asked earlier about the scores on the sheets. And one of the reasons that we also wanted to include them was we do know there are going to be times where a family doesn't want to maybe do the screening, but maybe we leave them the resources. And so we want that mom to have the ability to do that screening on her own and see her own score. And so again, it's really just taking the stigma, a little bit more stigma out of the idea of mental health. So again, really increasing that family's awareness. So when it comes to the next box, which is the box on documentation. So Kelsey mentioned this earlier. One of the things that we are required to have is we're required to have a copy of the screening that the parent completed in the child's folder. That's required in case of a Medicaid audit because they do ask for that documentation if we've billed for that. But just like anything we do, we're going to treat children who have Medicaid and non-medicated the same in terms of their educational documentation. So you can do one of two things. Kelsey mentioned you can take a scan or a photo with your phone, if that's okay with the family, and then you would need to get that uploaded into the child's folder. If you're super techie, Laura Nelson, Laura Nelson's like, no, I'm not super techie. If you're super techie, this could be a good option for you. We just want to make sure you get those deleted off your phone. If you're not super techie, you might like the option of going into the Word document that Stacy and Angel will have created moving forward that's going to be in there. And you can just check the Word document boxes that match with what the mom filled out. So again, pick your poison. That's what my dad says. Pick your poison on which system works better for you. It doesn't matter as long, again, as we have a copy in that folder that represents the score that we've put in our Medicaid billing. We are going to leave the paper screening with the family. We want them to have access to that in case they want to review it. I know, Laura. Trust me. I never thought I'd go back to paper, but this is really nice. And then to answer Stacy's question, we'll kind of go through our documentation. So including cutoff scores. So we want you guys, just like everything, to document same day. That's always the goal. We know it doesn't always happen. But there is a code. It's probably down at the very bottom of your CPT code list. Everybody has it. If you don't, send me an email and I'll have Greenbush add it. But there's a CPT code, which is 96161, and that is for the perinatal mental health screening. And then from there, you choose what they call a modifier. It's either negative or it's positive. So here are your cutoffs for English mom, English dad, Spanish mom, or dad. So if the cutoff scores are this number or less, you're going to score it as a negative, which in the medical world, negative is good. You're going to log all of this under the child's name. So if, again, regardless of Medicaid status or not, you're going to choose the child, you're going to log the screening under the child, and then you can use some statement like this. Again, I just wrote it. You're welcome to add more, but the big pieces are that we have to include who we were with. So we were with parent, we were with child, we were with aunt. We have to include what the score is. And then we just are kind of using the overall catchment that we're providing mental health resources to the family. Any questions if the screening is negative? So again, if that cutoff score is under these particular numbers. I can't see the chat anyway because I'm sharing. So I'm going to assume there's no questions. If your score is positive, so again, looking at whether or not you're an English-speaking mother, father, or Spanish-speaking mother or father, your positive screening scores are going to reflect off of this. Again, the documentation is exactly the same because we've noted in that modifier whether it was positive or negative, so you don't have to say anything different. But again, we want to say who was there, what the score was, and then that we provided resources. When you're saving it into the child's folder, use the same type of naming system that we've been using. Child's first name, last initial. We did the EPDS for the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale because that is the name of the tool that we used. And then the date that you guys used, that you screened. So that will be either a PNG or a PDF. Or Casey, I'm trying to impress you with all my acronyms right now. I hope it's working. Leave the form with the parent and bill and dash or relay. So that theoretically gets you through the documentation. And then the last box on your right is just your follow-up box. So again, as an FSC or PSP, who are you going to follow up with? Are you going to check in with the parent, over the course of the next day or week? Are you going to follow up with Kelsey or Hannah? Missy is on here. She's our new social worker. So you can always follow up with her. We added her name here. If you follow up with her, she's probably going to loop Hannah in, which is, again, perfectly fine. We love phone a friend. And I think, again, if Jenny had asked the question, like, do we make the phone call from the parent's phone or do we make the call from our phone? I think it's always best to use the parent's phone if we can. And if you've been given consent by the family to follow up and contact resources like Advent, the perinatal mental health line, definitely do those things too. So again, our big thing, and I think, a lot of credit to Hannah over the course of the 6 years we've been talking about this. We don't want to be a program that screens and doesn't do anything except put it in their folder. And so I think that's always been our biggest hurdle is we want to do better by the families. And you guys do that every single day. So again, this is another tool we have to support the whole family. And I would just say if you want to do it and you're not comfortable, I mean, everybody loves practicing. We'll also have Hannah and Kelsey maybe do a couple more videos that show what it looks like if a parent declines or if a parent was low risk, something like that. So you guys have, again, just some more wording examples to look through. Jen asks if we can get the workflow with the backside laminated. You know what? Your wish is our command, Jen. We would absolutely love to do that. Now, had we thought of that last week, we would have been, cooking with gas, as my dad says, but whatever. Okay, we threw a lot of information at you guys. We also have the KDHE trainings. All of them have come out in single emails with links to their Zooms. Leslie and I are going to compile those into one email with all the slides and the CEU certificate and send that out to you. So if you want to watch them, you have them in one location. We're having a hard time putting them on our YouTube because we don't have access to the original Zoom. But we'll at least get those to you so you can go back and look through the information if you guys found that was helpful.
And I did want to just throw in a little heads up for the Friday Moving Beyond Depression training. I do think there's probably going to be some info that is not super applicable to us because typically that program is being done by like a contracted agency. And so in our training, there was a lot about like how to connect with the home visitors that are seeing the mom and how to get contact information for this mom, all things that like we see you guys and have access to the database and all the things. So there is probably going to be some things that like we don't need to worry about as far as like knowing how to be in contact with Missy and myself. You guys can find us very easily. So just a heads up on that. There might be some things that don't pertain to because we're with you guys. So let's see. Gina, I may miss cutoff scores in my sheet and cutoff scores. Different, perfect.
Yes,
Just
that is correct.
13.
Worded
13.
in category.
But mean the same thing, correct? Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm not thinking about that incorrectly. Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, and the maternal mental health hotline versus 988. So the maternal mental health hotline is going to be staffed by therapists that are trained in maternal mental health, and it's a national foundation program. 988 is going to be staffed by Johnson County Mental Health. Those people might not necessarily be a mental health like therapist, but they're trained in this like crisis intervention, safety assessment, safety planning through Johnson County Mental Health, and could probably a little more easily like route direct care. So like if it turned into an emergency situation, they're going to very easily be able to like dispatch emergency services. I believe they can even dispatch like mental health emergency intervention, like if you need someone there in person. The maternal mental health hotline isn't going to dispatch anyone. I think they could eventually get you to 988, like they might get you over there. So I would say like a more urgent crisis where you're like, maybe we need someone to be here that is professional would be like a 988 call. Sorry if that was not clear. I hope that was clear enough.
I think too, Hannah, like it's probably a softer receiving call if you call the maternal mental health hotline. Plus, this is what they do. Like this is it. You wouldn't call 988, you would call at any age, at any stage of life if you're having a mental health crisis. 988 is local. Like if it will be someone at Johnson County Mental Health, like at our health department. Maternal mental health is not local, but very resourced in what we deal with this Edinburgh.
All right. And I think last but not least, as part of the KDHE process, we were to establish a program goal. And so Kelsey, Hannah, and Leslie and I decided that our goal is by January 16th for all of us to have at least offered a screening to a parent. Not complete one, nothing like that, but on January 16th, we have social worker Karen Mulligan. She works at Blue Valley School District. Some of you have already met with her. She's going to do another 60 to 90 minute information sharing about mental health, the importance of screening. And again, it's going to help us move the needle to at least have one screening offered so we can talk through what went well, you know, how was it? What other tools and resources do you guys need? So again, we're setting the bar low, right? We like to have a lot of progress shown in a short amount of time. So if you don't have one or don't have an opportunity, that's okay. I'm thinking about our ECSE and some of our speech therapists who don't have a chance to work with infants. If you're working with a toddler and a mom has a baby, which often happens, you can still go through this process with the mom. Now, if the baby's not in our program, we wouldn't bill and document for it. But again, the idea is that we're supporting the family. So don't feel like you only can do this for children on an IFSP. again, you can do this for a parent who has a newborn or quadruplets, or any mom that you feel like, or a friend. You could even offer it to a friend if you wanted, if you don't have that opportunity. So we're coming up on our time boundary, I believe. 4 o'clock was go time. We've got 2 or 3 minutes if you guys want to share anything out, ask any other questions.
And guys, I know if anyone is feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed, feel free to reach out, look at my calendar and grab some time. Reflective supervision is also a great time to talk about it. But yeah, if anyone's feeling overwhelmed and stressed about it and just wants to talk more, I am very much happy to do that. Casey, I love that.
Nice, Casey. Nice. I'm only going to communicate in acronyms to Casey from now on. All right, you guys, thanks for showing up again.